What's going on, citizens of Gotham? Welcome to the Eternal Night, a podcast dedicated to the world's greatest detective, the Dark Knight of DC Universe, Batman. I am your host. You all know who I am. I am Philip Barker, joined by my longtime co-host, Mr. Craig Blaylock. Thank you for joining us. Damn it. Anyway, this is our first live show, and I'm gonna have to edit that out because I have the audio up on my computer, and it's just like, oh man, why am I hearing it twice? I must have another YouTube tab open. Hold on. Oh, I do. I think I do have another YouTube tab open. Yep, I sure do.
This is what comes with the first live episode.
This is exactly what comes with the first live episode. I totally screwed up. Anyway, let's just get this show on the road and get through all the hiccups because I done screwed up.
Yeah, look at that.
Talk about an absolute disaster of a just first out go. Like, oh my god, wow, what a disaster I thought I already had one open, and then I had to go and check my other tabs, and sure enough, I do have another one open. Welcome everyone to the very first live show of the Eternal Night. As I mentioned up top, I am Philip, this is Craig, and we are finally doing a live show. Feel free to follow us on any of the socials that we have. It's currently Instagram and Facebook. Just search for TEK_podcast, and feel free to drop us an email, eternalnightpod@gmail.com. So, all that said, Craig, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Nice, easy weekend. Like I was just telling you before we started the stream, took my daughter to go see A Quiet Place Day One. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. A lot more emotional than I was expecting, and actually, the cast was very well done, and yeah, overall solid film. But yeah, other than that, just been taking it easy this weekend.
Okay, all right, there we go. Yeah. I've done absolutely nothing because I have the house to myself.
Nice.
Okay, I take that back. I haven't done absolutely nothing. I did some laundry today. I mowed the lawn. I took care of some other stuff. But other than that, I've just been kind of taking it easy and not really doing too much. I've been packing for San Diego because I will be going to San Diego Comic-Con. I leave on Wednesday morning. My flight takes off at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I touch down in San Diego at about 12 o'clock.
And how many days is it? How long are you there?
So I'm there from Wednesday to the following Monday, but the event itself, San Diego Comic-Con, is from the Thursday to Sunday, so that would be the 25th to the 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds that math adds up. I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. Something like that. Some shit like that. I don't know. Something like that.
You have everything planned out, like where you're going to be for each day.
Yeah, for the most part, I've got everything pretty much squared away. I know where I'm going to be on certain days. I know who I'm helping out on certain panels and what I'm doing. But most of my time will be dedicated to standing in line for Hall H on Friday. I mean, I'll probably get the chance to like step away and go check out some other booths, but I think the majority of that is going to be on my Thursday and my Sunday.
Okay.
So, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
definitely looking forward to it. I hope so. I mean, I'm certainly excited. I mean, I haven't never been to San Diego Comic-Con, and this is the first time I'm going. All 4 days, nonetheless, too. So, it'll be very interesting to see how that shakes out.
I haven't really. I've never been to any like major con. I've been to like smaller cons here and there, but never to like a Comic Con or an anime con or anything like that. I might be going. I think there's an anime convention coming to this area. I think I want to say August or September. So I might actually go check that out.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been to SAC Anime twice now, and then I went to PAX East in Boston earlier this year, and about a month ago, my editor for Multiverse of Color was like, "Hey, would you be willing to go to San Diego for Comic-Con?" I was like, "Absolutely." it wasn't even a question. I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, "Yes, I will make the time to do that." It was just one of those things where I was like, "Yep, it's happening."
I would do it. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. I would jump on that too.
It's for sure happening. It's definitely a for sure thing that I am going to take full advantage of. And by take full advantage, I mean obviously like the fact that I get to go to such a luxurious big event that is like more often than not amongst nerd culture considered like one of the granddaddy comic book cons of all time. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that it's the year after the strikes and everything, so things will feel a little bit more full form. You know,
hello, Mordecai.
Oh, what's that? Wow.
That's Mordecai.
That's Mordecai. We have a Bat Cat joining the show today for everyone. Look at that. Mm-hmm. Fancy.
It's funny. He never is interested in jumping on the desk except for today, apparently.
How about that?
You're trying to steal my thunder. All right, down you go. There you go.
I think my cats are hiding. Yeah, for anyone who can see us, you know, Craig's got a cat tree. I've got a cat tree. They almost look identical. Well, not perfectly identical, but mine's a little taller. But yeah, man. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I guess we should just kind of come to discuss why we decided to do a live stream, because it is in fact our third anniversary doing this show.
Crazy. Yeah, that's nuts.
Right? We had been trying to do a podcast for years. Literal years. I mean, I think right around either before or around the time Batman v Superman came out was when we decided we just brainstormed. Yeah, you want to do a podcast about Batman? And it just kept. It was one of those things that were just like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. And then finally, like a year after the pandemic, we were like, you know, maybe we should do it.
Yeah. I remember too, I think if I remember right, I want to say it was it had to have been like 2016 or 2017. We did record an episode where it was like we were going to test things out.
I think it might have been 2018. Now that
2018.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because I remember I did it from the kitchen of the house I was living in at the time.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't even have a mic. It was just I was doing it straight off of my crappy little HP Stream laptop.
Yeah, I think at that point I was recording in my neighbor's garage because I didn't even have my own place at the time. Not that I have my own place now or anything, but yeah. It's so funny how things just progress and evolve over the years, because we went from doing dinky rinky little stuff like that to slowly but surely taking it seriously and being like, you know, we can really do something with this. And not to say that it hasn't come with its hurdles. I mean, I think that the biggest thing for us is scheduling in real life kind of getting in the way of it. But even still, like, you know, I mean this with sincerity, but you are the longest podcast partner I've had to date, not including live streams, you know, because I had the Superhero Stress show before this. And then prior to that, I did a show briefly with my older cousin that didn't last very long. So yeah, you know, I'm very proud and happy to consider you my Batman loving chum who, you know, even if scheduling doesn't sometimes pan out or, you know, whatever, there's no animosity. There's always just some clear communication on both ends for the most part. I mean, sure, we might go ghost for a couple of days, but eventually we come out of the cave and we're like, hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Life kind of got in the way, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's part of it is I think both of us have been through, you and I both have been through the ringer on multiple things. So we both kind of have that understanding of life happens.
Right.
And I feel fortunate enough that the people that do listen to this show understand that as well. We don't have anybody like yelling at us like, where's the next episode? When are you guys going to get your shit together? That kind of stuff.
No, I am really thankful for that. Honestly, like no one really complains about when or whether or not another episode is incoming. Because you know, when we started it, we wanted it to do like a bi-weekly type of deal, but that's just, you know, I'm not going to say that's not feasible. It's just, you know, you being a single dad and me working 40 hours a week and doing reviews now, I think that's become a little bit more, you know, that's, I wouldn't say wishful thinking, but it would be ideal, but it's just not ideal. Like we do it when we can.
Yep. And I think it helps for people too, to know that we're genuine about it. Like we're not, would it be great to have, you know, like thousands of listeners and all this stuff? Yeah, that'd be amazing. But we do this just for the sake of, we just want to talk about a subject that we're passionate about.
100%. Yeah. Like we don't do this for the gain. We do it for the fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's often where, at least in my experience with other shows, that's often where the lines kind of get skewed is certain other people that I've, you know, shared a mic with to to say it like that. They kind of get wrapped up in the listening of it, the people of it, and sometimes even the monetary value, if any, of it. And I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of just take a step back and I try and look at like the other aspects of it as opposed to, the benefits of it, if any benefits were to come from it. And, we've been pretty open about not having a Patreon or anything like that. I'm not sure if we're ever going to, pull the trigger on that. Maybe for year 5, maybe for the 5th year anniversary, we'll finally launch Patreon. I'm not entirely sure about that, but as we go into year 3, I mean, we've been kind of sporadic in terms of what we talk about, when it comes to Batman. It's usually some kind of breaking news in regards to the character, be it animation or live action, or even like, comic books here and there. We do every now and again when we get to it, like we keep telling ourselves we're going to continue with the animated series reviews, and we just haven't done it. So that's our bad, honestly. But
I mean, when we first started, it was really, a lot of it was like lists, like top 10 lists, top 5 lists, that kind of stuff. And it's naturally just kind of evolved from that.
Right. Yeah, I think, well, even then, yesterday, I literally put up our 3rd DCU retrospective, which is 2 months late, but
yeah,
it
was a good time, though. It was a good talk. I mean, that was definitely one, going back and watching that movie for the first time since seeing it back in 2016, sitting on my couch and watching that and just going, man, this movie's not very good, is it?
I just think the whole notion of revisiting the DCEU before we get into the new DC universe is just kind of novel, because Batman plays a pretty prominent part in the first half as opposed to like the last half, even though he does have like kind of a part to play in some of those other later films, even though it's not as big and grandiose as it was meant to be. But yeah, Ben Affleck's Batman was really like he was supposed to be kind of a linchpin, and then that completely fell apart given the recklessness of the studio. But yeah, like doing this podcast with you has just been nothing short of experimental and fun in all the right ways. I mean, obviously, we don't record our own audio separately. I don't know, that's a pretty common practice, but I feel like I get pretty close in terms of keeping us level. I don't know. I could be totally way off base about that, but even still, like the audio quality, yes, I do give a shit about it, but so much so, like, if we're about even, then I can tolerate that. But if I need to turn my mic up or you need to turn yours down, I feel like that's a pretty easy thing we can accommodate.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even then, it's never been like a thing that people have come forward and been like, hey, your audio is crap or anything like that. I've never had that. I've been told that I've been quiet, but that's because of the microphone that I have. I have a Shure SMB7, so it is what it is.
I just have one. I got one of those. What's it? The Hypercast or the HyperX Quadcast. That's what I've been using. I think eventually I'm gonna get a more like professional mic at some point, but it's just right now, money.
yeah. Money's always the big common factor, isn't it? Speaking of money, Batman brings in all the money.
That he does.
I don't know if you've seen the I guess we can kind of talk comics a little bit, but I don't know if you've seen the new initiative for DC starting in October. The Absolute.
Absolute,
yeah. So this wasn't even on the list of shit we're talking about, but it just came to me because it's just off the top of my brain.
I saw the preview stuff for it. The preview images.
Yeah, so like Batman is gonna like have no money, no Alfred, none of that.
Really? I didn't know that part. I didn't know anything about like the origins of these characters. I just saw the preview images.
Yeah, so essentially what this universe is, it's the Absolute universe, and it's essentially the equivocal to Marvel's Ultimate universe, or the Ultimate line of comics. It's going to be like a not necessarily a reset, but a whole brand new retelling of all the characters you know and love. So for example, Superman's going to be a little bit more alien. He's not going to have like Mom Pa can't, like this is actually him coming straight to Earth or something to that effect. I'm not 100% sure, but Jason Aaron's writing that. Wonder Woman has no ties to Paradise Island at all. She's got tattoos and she's got like this big like Final Fantasy VII sword.
Yeah, I really like the Wonder Woman redesign.
Yeah, so do I. And like Batman, you know, he's a freaking monster. He looks huge, right? Like he looks enormous. He looks like Frank Miller's Batman and Kelly Jones' Batman rolled into one. And I'm like, this is just beautiful in so many different ways. But we do have some people in the chat. How about that? Looks like we got Matthew Lang saying they have one in Oklahoma. That's pretty fantastic. Probably referring to our earlier conversation about conventions, more than likely. I've been to Oklahoma once in my life for 2 weeks, so I wouldn't know if there was one there. We got Andrew Haley saying howdy and happy 3rd anniversary. Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate that. But yeah, like the absolute stuff is apparently spinning out of this the absolute power story that they're currently doing right now in current canon. No. I haven't read any of it. I actually don't read too many current comics. I have it's mostly due to financial reasons. I don't really have the time or money to invest in single issues week by week, month to month these days. I usually just kind of wait for trades at this point. Like I literally just picked up the new World's Finest book from Mark Waid and Dan Mora, as well as Batman and Son by Grant Morrison. So that's about where I'm at with current reading. I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably, if I honestly really wanted to, I'm sure I could probably set up a DC Universe subscription and probably give the password to Craig if we really wanted to read comics on the fly.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe year 4.
Yeah.
Maybe year 4. Maybe year 4. We'll see, everyone. We'll see. Yeah. But no, going back to this initiative, they are supposed to have a panel for it at Comic-Con. I'm going to try my hardest to attend it because it starts like right as I'm ending a panel for the VFX for Planet of the Apes that I'm helping do the camera work for. So I'm literally going to have to wrap that and then bolt it to this other hall for this absolute panel where Scott Snyder and I believe Joshua Williamson are going to break down more of it and talk a little bit more about it for like an hour. It's at like 12:45 to 1:45 on Thursday. So
oh, wow.
Yeah. My Thursday, I get there at like, I get there on Wednesday and I'm going to pick up my badge. And then after that, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do on Wednesday. But then Thursday, I think everything opens up at like 9 or 10 and I'll have like maybe an hour or so, hour and a half to, walk the floor and do my thing. And then I have to go to one room for the Planet of the Apes panel. And then I have to go to the DC panel after that. But then after that, my day is pretty just walk around, do what I want until about 6:15. Then I'll be going to see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to try. I have a concert I'm going to on Thursday night, so I'm not going to be able to see it like premiere night. Mm-hmm. And then I've got my buddy and he invited me to a baseball game. So I'm going to 2 local baseball games, I think Friday and Saturday. So I probably won't be seeing Deadpool and Wolverine until probably Sunday.
Yeah, I told my cousin that I'd take him to see it because we've seen both Deadpool movies in theaters on around opening weekend, but he works, so I won't be able to take him to see it until at least Saturday night or Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he works like 12-hour shifts and he'll be working Thursday and Friday while I'll be at the convention, and then Saturday is, all considering if all things go according to plan, if I make it into Hall H, I will not be out of Hall H until like 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock Pacific time. So I could probably squeeze in a Deadpool and Wolverine screening like 8, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, now that I think about it, I could probably see it probably Friday. Yeah, because I get off at 10:30 on Friday, so I could probably see it in the morning and then go to the baseball game. I've got to try to see it quick because this movie's going to get spoilers all over the place.
Oh, dude, the review embargoes, I believe, lift for it on the 22nd.
Oh, crap. Wonderful.
Yeah. And then reactions for it, I think, are the 23rd. Like the day I leave, or maybe even the 24th. Like whatever day I leave is the day that everything lifts. Like you're going to get reactions, reviews, the whole 9. People are more than likely going to spoil shit. I'm going to
have to start staying off social media.
As I famously said for like the last 6 months, I'm no longer on Twitter, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But I have seen a few spoilers fly on Threads for certain movies and TV shows. Threads is actually a little more lax. Like like not even 2 hours ago, I was watching Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and people were talking about stuff, but they were being very coy about it. They were being just very.
I have noticed that. Yeah,
like,
I've noticed on threads like people will talk about things happening, but they won't just outright spoil things.
Yeah. However, there was one thing that got spoiled from Deadpool and Wolverine because people were just like, "Oh, look
Yeah,
at that brand new
yeah,
cameo," and I'm just like,
yeah.
"Well, okay." Granted, I
Fair enough.
didn't see that until I had watched the trailer in which this spoiler presented. So it's an argument. Like,
Mhm.
it's unofficial footage. You could call it a spoiler. You could call it, official marketing. It's one, if not both. But yeah, there is a pretty big reveal in the latest trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine that I think they didn't need to do. But
Mhm.
it's a week away from the movie, and they want to get as many people into the theater for this as possible. And I understand it, but at the same time, it's like you guys already had everyone by the balls when you said Hugh Jackman was coming back to play Wolverine alongside
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. So
Yeah, I felt like what they showed in this final trailer, you didn't have to show it. Like it kind of reminded me of the Batman v Superman trailer where it shows off Doomsday, where I was
Mhm.
kind of like, man, that was cool, that was exciting to see as a fan. But I just sit there and go, man, it would have been so much. It would have had so much more impact if I got to see Doomsday revealed without knowing it going into the movie.
Yeah, because then that in and of itself caused a whole lot of discourse. People were like, "Will Superman die? Are they
Right off the bat. And I mean,
right?"
for fans like us, we already know. As
Yeah.
soon as we saw the trailer and we saw Doomsday, we're like, well, crap, Cavill's toast.
I
Like,
mean, a lot of people assumed that they were going to kind of go down a safer Marvel Studios route where, like, oh, it's going to be all three of them. They're going to team up, take out the monster, and then call it a day. And then in true fan fashion form, everyone got mad when Superman died because, oh, it's the second movie and Superman didn't need to die. And it's like, you were going to be mad one way or the other.
yeah.
So whatever.
I
But
just for me, as soon as I saw Doomsday, I was like, well, he's dead.
I wondered, I kind of went back and forth about it. I truly wondered if they were gonna, if Snyder was going to take the big swing and do it, and he did. And I honestly think the story benefited it from it. But you
Oh,
know, anyone wants to listen
absolutely.
to us talk about that movie, just go check out our
Hmm.
second DCU retrospective, Batman vs Superman. Honestly, the whole trailer, like the output of trailers and TV spots for Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of reminds me more of Man of Steel. Man of Steel had 3 or 4 different trailers and then 11
Yeah.
TV spots, and I've seen 3 trailers and like 4 or 5 TV spots for Deadpool and Wolverine so far,
Yeah.
and that's not even including like cheeky marketing. Like there's one Heinz marketing special for this where they basically swap like Deadpool and Wolverine for ketchup and mustard.
I
It's
didn't know
brilliant.
about that.
It's brilliant. I loved it, but at the same time, I was like, is this really necessary?
Yeah.
But
No, I think.
considering, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's just for me. That's why, as much as when I saw the posting for the final trailer, I really debated even clicking on it because I'm one of those people like once I see like the first official trailer of a film,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need anything else. I don't need to see the TV spots. I don't need to see anything else. If the official trailer has got me interested, I don't really need anything beyond that. And now I'm kind of kicking myself because I was like, do I need to watch this final trailer? Yeah, I'll just check it out. I bet you it's just going to show us a little bit more action or something like that. And then that reveal was in there, and I was like, damn it, I shouldn't have clicked it.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of trailers, let's flip the switch and go to another trailer that has generated conversation, but they haven't put out another one smartly, and that's Cape Crusader. The hype behind
Mm,
this show among Batman fans is just absolutely insane and real. I love
yeah,
it. I can't wait for it. And they've only released one trailer for this show, and I think that is brilliant.
I don't think they have to do anything. We don't need teasers. We don't need featurettes. We don't need anything. That one trailer sufficed me enough. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready for the premiere.
Yeah, I wish I could go to this panel at Comic-Con, but it's going to conflict with my Hall H time.
Yeah, because didn't you say it's literally like a 15-minute difference between the Penguin and Cape
Mm-hmm.
Crusader? Ah, that
Mm-hmm.
sucks.
Yeah. which, if I'm being honest, like I'd much rather be there for the Penguin.
Yeah,
like that panel to me, because Matt Reeves is going to be at both of them, you know, like that, and that's totally fine. Like I either way, like more Batman for me is just never a bad thing, but to actually go to San Diego and be able to see some of this stuff like up close and personal, it's kind of a bucket list thing for me, because number one, I've been trying to go to San Diego Comic-Con for like over a decade. Number two, the fact that there's going to be like some kind of Batman presence in animated and live action form is just more cherry on top for me. But truthfully, like the Cape Crusader TV show, I think, you know, dropping all 10 episodes at once and it literally the week after Comic-Con this is Amazon, like, oh, what's the word I want to use right now? This is typical practice for this is typical practice for Amazon, because whenever anytime they have a new series and it's at their first season, they usually dump all eight or 10 episodes all at once,
like they did with Fallout.
They did with Fallout. They did it with The Boys. They did it with Invincible. They did it with
did they do it as far back as The Man in the High Castle?
I couldn't tell you.
That was one of their like first premiere shows that like kind of made it, you know, at the time everyone was kind of like, oh, Amazon Prime Video, how's this even going to compete with Netflix? Right. And I think Man in the High Castle was their first like big show.
Yeah, I think so. But I think with this one, it since it's Batman and they already ordered a 2-season thing for it, like I know they're working on the second season, but
yeah,
if this is as popular as like Fallout, The Boys, Invincible, there's a pretty solid chance that the second season is going to be kind of sporadically released week to week after like a 3 or 2 episode drop in the first week. Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't doubt it one bit.
I mean, my personal hype for this show is through the roof. I can't wait. Everyone who listens to our show knows that I hold Batman the Animated Series in a very, very high regard. I've been wanting, with I'd say the last decade or so, with all of these returns and revivals and redos and remakes, continuations, I have been dying for them to bring back Batman the Animated Series. When we finally got that announcement of Cape Crusader, and they came out and said, like, this is the show we wanted to do back in the 90s, but we couldn't because we were on Fox Kids and we had to keep it, you know, kid friendly. This is what we've always wanted to do with these characters in this world. It's going to be much darker. It's going to be a little more mature. I'm all in. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, the noir 1940s time frame and the tone of it is really captivating to me, because I can't remember the last time I saw like a Batman story that was set in like the time frame in which he was introduced, outside of that 75th anniversary that Bruce Timm did, the Strange Days thing. But other than that, like, just the idea of a 1940s detective noir Batman story just completely catches my eye. Like I love that aspect of Batman. I love that this is also going to be a Batman that has almost little to none technology. I feel like his Batmobile is very, like, it is reminiscent of the animated series Batmobile, but it's also got its own 1940s spin to it.
Well, and I mean, if you got like from that trailer, you just see, like, I think he has like an oil slick, he has a turbo, and he has some kind of hook that'll probably shoot out of it. That's probably as advanced technology as he's going to have in the show.
It's like, I would bet donuts to dollars if Speed Racer watched the TV show for the inspiration of his Mach 5. It's this.
Yeah, the Mach 5.
Yeah, definitely. Or like, you know, maybe Bruce Timm was like, I want to homage Speed Racer this time around.
Very, very possible.
It's possible. I don't know. And it is, in going back to even the tone of it, like I also think that this show is since it has J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves attached to it, given the tone of the show, that makes total sense, considering Matt Reeves just came off of a movie where Batman is nothing short of a detective. It makes absolute sense to add his name to this.
Absolutely.
I actually wouldn't be shocked if Matt Reeves was next up in line to maybe possibly in the event that Michael Uslan no longer wanted or could not, hold on to the Batman rights, I feel like maybe Matt Reeves might be the next one to handle that. Because if you go back and look,
I can see that.
Michael Uslan's had his name on Batman since 1989. He got the production distribution right, one or the other. I don't remember which one specifically, but he's been a long time executive producer on everything Batman since that first Tim Burton movie. And God bless his soul, everything dark Batman you could name is his name's on it. Like, and even the not so dark stuff, his name is on too. But ultimately, people don't get younger. And I don't say that diminishingly. I don't say that in a disrespectful manner, but I feel like in the event that, he wants to retire or hang up his cape and cowl, I feel like if anyone would be, a possible candidate to take up the reins after Michael Uslan, I think Matt Reeves would probably be more than happy to take that reign.
I think he's earned it. I mean, given what he delivered with the Batman.
Yeah, that movie is nothing short of capturing the spirit of the character in a very visceral, grounded way. And it's like that. I think we talked about it when we reviewed that movie. That movie, you can pick and pull like what elements of what prior Batman movies were inspired by it.
Absolutely. And the fact that he made it a point to make it, I think I said it back in our review episode, like it feels like a graphic novel come to life.
Oh yeah.
Just the grittiness, and for the first time, I'd say since honestly Batman 89, Gotham felt like a real city. Like I felt like after 89 and Returns, I feel like Gotham just kind of felt like, oh, it's a big city. Whereas in the Batman, it felt like exactly like it was supposed to be. It's a city that is run down with corruption. The crime is out of control. And now you have this psychopath who's dressing up as a bat going out and beating up criminals.
Well, I also think that, again, going to the point that I made about Matt Reeves kind of taking inspiration from other prior Batman filmmakers, the city of Gotham City itself kind of almost feels like a character. It's got a spirit to it, kind of like the way it did in the 89 and Batman Returns films, even though they were shot in vastly different ways, but the city still felt like it had its own unique look to it.
Yep.
And then you get to Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. It's basically Las Vegas with pretty lights and statues, right? But then
nightclubs and neon lights.
Yeah, and it's even funnier because like the Iceberg Lounge is very, I wouldn't say bright, but it's very much in that same vein. Like, it's always popping pretty hard, and it's run by a guy, Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin. We're going to see his rise to power here very shortly too. But then you kind of look at like the tonality of it and like the aesthetic of it. It's very reminiscent of, Christian Bale's to a certain degree, but I think that, this version of Batman, Robert Pattinson specifically, like he's got his own like tinkering going on there. He doesn't necessarily need the likes of Lucius Fox to help him build his gadgets and stuff. It's all in-house. Like he does everything himself with Alfred. It's very year two. It's very like early days. It's very like, that's the one thing that I think separates this version of Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy is like, Christopher Nolan set out to tell a story about Bruce Wayne. And I think Matt Reeves is like, no, I want to tell a story about Batman.
Yeah.
And going to the Zack Snyder influence of it, obviously there's some very visceral action sequences that take place towards the end of the Batman. And I was like, yeah, I think Matt Reeves might have taken some notes from Zack Snyder's films personally. And even the kind of the voice too, the way they kind of held each other, the way they kind of held themselves up. It's very similar in a certain respect. But I'm just overall convinced that Matt Reeves did his own thing with it, but at the same time, like he did a very good job of really, honoring what had come before, no matter what era it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it actually just hit me. There's even like hints of Adam West's Batman, and they're purely in terms of character use, because the Batman includes, Batman, Alfred, Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, and the Joker.
Yeah.
So there's literally Batman the movie in a modern context.
Yeah. Which is that is one thing that I'm still very intrigued by, the fact that he does hint at Joker, and it really, how is the Joker going to play into the following films is something that has always kind of, I've been thinking about that ever since that movie premiered, is how is this take on the Joker going to come into the fold with this storyline? Is he going to be a side character? Is he going to be, does he end up becoming like a main threat? I'm very, very curious because he's already locked up. So Pattinson's Batman has already interacted with this Joker already.
Right. And I think even bringing it back to Cape Crusader, you know, I don't think you could have Batman without the Joker. So
yeah.
Do you think there's going to be some kind of presence of a pre-Joker? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think they would go down the route of doing the old school Red Hood origin for the Joker and doing it in a 1940 spin and do it and by the season's end, like that's their finale, is like introducing the Joker?
I kind of think that's what they're gonna lead to, because I think this 1940s aesthetic, I think, works for that kind of story of the Red Hood, which then leads to Joker. I think it's definitely something. I don't think he'll be. Maybe they'll like trickle it in throughout the episodes, and then, like you said, maybe in the final episode something happens and they play out the Red Hood stuff and tease that, hey, just so you know, Joker's coming. Like, he's not here yet, but he's on the way. Which further makes me wonder if there will, because I think we talked about it in our episode where we discussed the Cape Crusader, if there will be a time skip for the second season, which I'm kind of curious if that does happen. So we go into season 2, maybe it's could be a few months, but maybe even it's a few years. He's had more time to be Batman. Maybe he's dealt with more characters from his rogue gallery. And during that time skip as well, Joker has kind of been building up whatever he's got going on.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Bruce Timm said that this is Batman year 1, week 1 or 2. So this is literally.
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow, I didn't see that.
This is like the earliest of early days Batman.
Wow.
And you know, based just off the dialogue from the trailer, you know, there's been explosions happening at 3 different places over the last course of a few weeks. You know, there's teases of Onomatopoeia, the Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Clayface. Like there are an abundance of other characters that haven't been done in live action animation before. Like specifically Onomatopoeia. Like that's a Kevin Smith creation that I think is quite ingenious to have it be done in a 1940s gangster style type of scenario. Like I'm very curious to see how they adapt that character in that show. But going back to the Joker, you know, Batman was introduced in Detective Comics number 27, and then he started off in you know, his own book, and the very first villain in that book was the Joker.
Yep.
So I have to wonder, you know, like I completely love and respect the idea of having, you know, wanting to touch on other villains before you get in with the Joker. But I also do feel like there is this like level of I wouldn't say expectation, but like, again, like you can't have Batman without the Joker.
Where there's a yin, there's a yang. Where there's good, there's got to be evil. Yep.
Right. And I feel like it would be a real missed opportunity not to have Hamish Linklater get his own Joker, because his version of Batman is just outstanding based on that 2-minute trailer that we got. Man, his voice just sounds spectacular as Batman.
Yep. I think out of what we've seen, the villain I'm most intrigued by right now is definitely Clayface, because I think this is going to be eye-opening for a lot of people. That this is like, people, you hear Clayface as a DC fan or even like a modern DC fan, you think of the Clayface we pretty much all know, big giant clay monster that can morph into anything. And I don't think many people are as familiar with Clayface's like early origins. He wasn't this like clay monster that could mutate into anything that he wanted or change his size or anything like that. So I'm very, very intrigued by this what they're going into with this Clayface, that he is, I mean, he's basically just a serial killer. And it's, if I remember right, I can't remember too much about the early Clayface stuff. Like, I know that he can do stuff with his face, but I don't know to the degree of what that is.
Yeah, I know the very first iteration of Clayface was like a killer, a serial killer, and it looks, at least the aesthetic of what they showed was very close to the early concept of him in the golden age of comics. So there is also that one other character that they show very briefly in the trailer where it's like it's like a scientist or a doctor, but his face like has a
fist in it, like an imprint, like his face is like contorted.
Yeah, and I'm like, are we getting two different versions? Are we, like is that even Clayface? Is that a different villain? Like I'm curious. Like there's a lot of things in that trailer that kind of make me raise an eyebrow, but in a good way.
And I think another one too, throughout that whole trailer, everything looks very grounded, except for that scene with the guy with the punched in face.
Yep.
And then that scene that we see of Alfred with some kind of like dark essence going down his throat.
So I think that is a take on Gentleman's Ghost.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what that might be. It's a different, darker taste on darker take on a Gentleman's Ghost, who's a very like niche Batman villain that doesn't get brought up often enough. He's like kind of up there with like the likes of Deacon Blackfire and like Anarchy. Well, I guess Anarchy's kind of a little more he's a little more known at this time.
Yeah, that's just the part that kind of surprised me, because the whole trailer, everything came across as very like grounded and we're not going to get too fantastical. And then you see that and you're like, oh, okay, so we are going to have a little more, I don't want to say like supernatural, but there is going to be some kind of fantastical elements to this show.
Oh, yeah. I would, maybe not fantastical. I think that is certainly a word you could use, but I'm kind of leaning more towards supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think supernatural kind of feels a little more like in line with, especially that the thing that really kind of gives me that vibe is that sequence with Alfred just getting this black smoke just ingested into his body. So I don't know. I know there's like some little bit of outcry that I guess fans are mad that Alfred's a little more portly than usual. Yeah, that was my reaction too. I just kind of shook my head.
The things that people can find to complain about just drives me absolutely insane.
Right.
Fan discourse is just something that I just don't get.
I find it really ironic, though, that the Batman Doesn't Kill crowd is surprisingly quiet from that one clip of Batman ramming his Batmobile.
Smacking the dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. I find that really ironic.
I mean, it's kind of the same when people were making, I loved it when the game came out, Arkham Knight, and they tried to say like, I forget, I'll have to look it up, but I remember when that game got revealed and they're showing off the gameplay and they're showing off the Batmobile stuff, and you can just drive around and run dudes over with the Batmobile. Mm-hmm. I remember there was an interview where someone questioned them on that, and I think someone on the development team was like, well, no, he has these like supersonic pressurized, like he has like a barrier around the wheels of the Batmobile. So when like when he runs the guys over, he's not actually running them over with the wheels of the Batmobile. It's creating a force field that, yes, he's knocking them out. I'm like, guys, come on. You're running people over with the car. Just, it's okay. We don't have to do this. You don't have to come up with he's running people over with a tank. I'm sorry.
No, there's no other way about it. Like he's running them over.
They had to say things like, well, when he shoots his cannon rounds at enemies in the game, those are just pressurized they're pressurized bean bags. I'm like, guys, you realize how hitting somebody with that
Because a pressurized beanbag is going to blow up Deathstroke's other tank army. Okay, sure.
Yeah, he's shooting. So those same rounds that he's shooting to blow up tanks and blow up, things that are in his way. Oh, they're just going to slightly knock out this guy. I'm sorry, but when you hit them with that and their bodies ragdoll and they go spinning across the map, I'm sorry, they're dead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, those guys are dead. There ain't no way about that. But yeah, Cape Crusader, as of this recording, I think we're about a little under 2 weeks away.
I think,
yeah.
It's Thursday the 8th. Yep. Oh, 2 weeks from this.
The first.
First.
August 1st.
Okay.
So
right.
Yeah, we're just under 2 weeks, away from this releasing. So yeah.
So I pretty much I might not be getting much sleep that night because I work until 4 that day. So I will probably, as soon as I clock out of work, just start watching it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that when I get off work on Thursday, it's just going to be straight home and all 10 episodes binge.
Yep. Yeah, that's it, Andrew. Yeah, they're just sleeping. He hits them with sleeping darts. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're sleeping. Absolutely. Just like everyone who burned in the temple in Batman Begins is totally fine.
Oh yeah, he didn't kill anybody.
Anybody.
That wasn't his fault. Remember, they forced him to do that. They forced him to fight back and blow up the building.
I will not be an executioner.
Yeah. I mean, it does kind of sum it up in that scene with Raish at the end when they're in the train, and he's just like, "I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you." And I'm like, "Yeah, fair point, but you did let a man die, so."
Yeah.
It's funny the loopholes that people have to go around. I mean, I think back to even like the Spider-Man game on PS4, how they worked around where it was like, oh, if you knock guys off a building, it's okay because there's an impact webbing on them that immediately shoots them onto onto the side of the building. So Spider-Man thought of that ahead of time, and it's like, guys, it's okay. It's okay for these heroes to have faults.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like, not that this is a bad thing, but it almost comes up every time we talk about it, but because it's just such a thing amongst Batman fans. Well, Batman can't kill. And then you ask someone that says that who their favorite Batman is, and they say Michael Keaton. You're just like,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
He 100% didn't kill anybody in either of those movies.
Oh, he absolutely murdered with a gleeful smile on his face in Batman Returns, and I am here for it. Weirdly enough, like when he turns the Batmobile around and lights the devil on fire in Gotham Square, that's just, to me, just so funny.
No, the guy there was a puddle of water right directly off the screen. He dropped into that. He was totally fine. Keaton knew that when he lit him on fire.
Oh, and not only that, like they're in snow, so he could have just rolled around in snow and been fine. No big deal. But yeah, I am just so glad that there's, and you know what? The funnier thing is, it's like the 1940s Golden Age Batman had absolutely no issue killing people anyway, so that it would actually be it would be true to the source material if this Batman was just like, oh, that criminal died, oh, he had it coming. Like it would be so, again, just true to the source material on which they're pulling inspiration from. So
yeah,
that to me would just be the icing on top for me when it comes to Cape Crusader. If Batman killed and he was just like, so meh, whatever about it, I'd laugh. I would just laugh so hard. But yeah, like I am really looking forward to this show. If they show the first episode at Comic-Con, I might cry a little bit.
That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. If they're like, hey, thanks for stopping by. By the way, here's episode 1 for you guys only.
Yeah. But they could also show episode 1 of another Batman related show, and that's Penguin.
Yeah.
So this panel, let me pull up the article because I want to just make sure I get this right. Because I know Colin Farrell will be there in person. Well, not wow. Okay, I got that wrong. He will be there at the con, but by way of a virtual meeting. Everyone else from the cast is going to be there in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
he'll be there just virtually.
Yes. So let's see. It looks like the hall. Okay, so the Hall H panel for the Penguin starts at 4:45 on Saturday. Colin Farrell, as I mentioned, will be there virtually. Kristen Milioti, who plays Sophia Falcone, will be there. Renzi Feliz plays Victor Aguilar. Matt Reeves will be there. Lauren LaFranc, who's the showrunner. I hope I said that right. Dylan Clark, who's an EP, was also EP on the Batman, will be there. In addition, the first official trailer for the series will be released during the session, which will be moderated by, of course, the one and only Josh Horowitz of the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, so they're going to show off the full
like
official trailer.
Like a full official trailer for it. Yeah, right. Like that to me feels kind of strange because there's been a first look and there've been two different kinds of trailers for it. So I'm just like, what more could you possibly have to show?
Again, I hope they don't go nuts with it. We don't need to see a lot.
Well, it's funny. Like I've been thinking about this, and a lot of Max shows and a lot of other shows, like it feels like they show off a lot of footage for a new show coming, and then when you watch the show, literally all the trailer footage is from at least the first or second episode.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So to me, if they show off anything, it's probably only going to be from like the first episode. And obviously, as the show progresses and releases each week, they're probably going to be like, it's coming next. It's like they do it with House of the Dragon. They did it with My Adventures with Superman. So it's kind of par for the course at this point.
Is it 8 episodes for Penguin?
I believe so. It's an 8 episode limited series.
Okay.
Which is fine. I don't.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll take more Batman related anything, but I don't think the Penguin TV show needs to warrant 5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be an extended thing.
No, but also apparently Friday, July 26th and Saturday the 27th, Max in partnership with Giant Spoon will transform the Bloom nightclub into Gotham's famed Iceberg Lounge. Upon arrival at the immersive experience, attendees will enter the Iceberg Descent, created in partnership with Buck and VT Pro Design, navigate through the wreckage left by the Riddler at the end of the Batman film to reach the party deeper within. Yeah, fans can register at oneiota.com for an exclusive invitation to Gotham Tata's Club, available on a first-come, first-served basis. So that'll be cool. Let's see. Also, during the Thursday to Saturday stretch of Comic-Con, HBO is teaming with Map 360 Collective and local San Diego establishments to serve up specialty cocktails, swag, and a chance to attend the Iceberg Lounge. Among those business participating are Gaslamp Pizza, The Butcher's Cut, Osteria, Panavino, and Prohibition 1920. The Gotham Ice Truck, which will be in the Gaslamp district, will serve up free slush puppies with cups containing a QR code and a chance to receive an invitation to the Iceberg Lounge experience.
Nice.
If I have time, I feel like I'm gonna try and hit that up. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I'll be able to. Like if I can get my wristband for Hall H Friday night, I might make my way over there and see just how stacked the line is and see what it's like,
Yeah.
But that would be really cool to check out. But yeah, the panel again, as I mentioned, will include Colin Farrell virtually, Kristen Milioti, Renzi Feliz, Matt Reeves, Lauren LaFranc. I hope I pronounced that right. And then Dylan Clark. So and cool. It'll be moderated by Josh Horowitz. I'm a pretty big fan of that guy's podcast. He does really great work. He's got some really great guests on. He had Christopher Nolan on. He had his brother Jonathan Nolan on for Fallout. And before it was either before or after John Nolan, he had Zack Snyder on too. So yeah, I like Josh Horowitz. I think he'll be a perfect moderator for this.
That's awesome.
But I'm excited. I don't know like what I'm really I don't really have any expectations for this. I mean, knowing I'm going to get another trailer for it and I'll be able to maybe see it in a big giant room on a big giant screen is going to be pretty surreal. But honestly, I'm just like happy to be in attendance and just, be able to just be there. This must be one of your friends, Samantha McLean.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Dragon friend.
Samantha.
Hello.
Hey, Sam. Glad to have you.
Yep. thanks for being here. We appreciate it. But yeah, it's funny because like in the Deadline article, they have Colin Farrell labeled it as like Colin Farrell, but they have a character called Oz Cobb, aka the Penguin. It's Oswald Cobblepot, but whatever.
Oz Cobb.
Oz Cobb. Yeah, that's what they have. That's what they have written down here. Oz Cobb.
Maybe that's his Twitter handle in Gotham.
Oh, very well could be the case. I don't know. I mean, honestly, like the what I've seen from the show is just nothing short of just special. Like I'm watching day one when this releases in September.
It's pretty much matching up to kind of what we had talked about when we heard about this show coming around, is that this really is going to be a deep dive, I think, into the gritty crime side of Gotham. And we're going to get to see like the inner turmoil from what's happened after the events of the first film, how the crime syndicates and the criminal families are going to be dealing with it, and how Cobblepot's going to use this kind of time of turmoil to get his opportunity to be a top dog in Gotham.
Right. Yeah. And it's also given off like Sopranos vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
It's definitely showing off some Sopranos kind of vibes too. Like I kind of get that feeling for it. So it'll be, like I said, I don't really have too many expectations. I feel like since it's literally picking up right where the Batman left off, like it's gonna be something special. I mean, obviously Oswald Cobblepot was like one of the most talked about characters from that movie. So I think a natural progression to tide people over in between part 1 and 2 would be like showcasing his rise to power.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing I'm curious about, what do you think? So the Batman was PG-13. Do you think this show is going to be like TV 14, or do you think they might push it a little bit darker? And do you think they're going to go TVMA?
TVMA.
That's what I'm thinking too. I think they're going to go.
I believe it's already been labeled.
Oh, it has already been? Okay.
Yeah. Because one thing that I guess Colin Farrell like requested for the movie was he wanted his Penguin to smoke a cigar, and they like Warner Brothers was like, no, you can't do that. But when it came to the Max show, since it's a streaming show and it's going to be it's now also an HBO original too, like they were given the green light to be like, yeah, you're basically doing a mob drama. By all means, take it to that level, do whatever you want. So we're going to see, Penguins smoking. We're probably going to see people cursing. We're probably going to see some pretty visceral deaths. We're probably going to see some, we're probably going to see some like TVMA shit. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Because
that's so funny that they were like, no, you can't smoke a cigar in a movie. What are you talking about?
It's not, it's this weird thing, I think, in movies now where you can't like, showcase anyone smoking like heavily to some extent. I don't really remember the exact parameters of it, but I just think that there's some stipulations now in filmmaking where you can't like glorify it. Whereas on a television show, it's completely fine.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. None whatsoever. You brought this to attention too, because this when I read this didn't really make too much sense to me. But I guess Anthony Starr doesn't like Batman anymore.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact. I think I sent the screenshot to you guys, but I guess in an interview, someone was asking him about his opinion of Batman. And he basically said something to the degree of like, he never really cared for Batman because, let me see if I can pull up.
It should be in our group chat, and it's right here. Actually, I should be able to pull it up from our screen and share it here with the audience. Hold on one second.
It says that Batman is not a superhero. So he was quoted as saying, I always liked Batman, yeah, but then I got older and I went, actually, he's just a dude. He's just a guy with a butler and money and a few contraptions, but he's not a superhero. He's just a guy running around in a bat outfit, like with some fancy toys and a chip on his shoulder about money.
Mm-hmm.
That was the part that I was like, what? He has a chip on his shoulder about money? I'm pretty sure the chip on his shoulder is the fact that his parents were murdered in front of his eyes by a criminal.
Right.
And that's why he does what he does. Has nothing to do about his money.
I think a lot of fans are probably looking at this like you are, and as I am, and I'm just kind of like shrugging and being like, that's how you feel. That's how you feel, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that last line, that last line is like, oh, but I'm really excited to see what happens with DC and James Gunn. I'm just like, is this you saying you want to roll in James Gunn's DC universe?
That's what it comes across to me as. That's like, well, I've never really cared for Batman once I became a mature adult, but now that James Gunn is going to handle Batman, I'm very interested to see what he's going to do.
After witnessing the finale of this 4th season of The Boys, and even also seeing another interview with Anthony Starr, where he's basically saying like, I'm kind of done with superheroes after this. I want to do other things, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But then you say something like, I'm really excited to see what happens with DC and James Gunn. I'm like, are you trying to have your cake and eat it too?
A little bit. That's what's kind of across me as.
That's kind of what I'm feeling too. Like I'm not ambivalent towards it. Honestly, I feel like he'd make if there's any character in the DC universe I could see him playing, this might be a little too on the nose, but Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like if you cast him as Reverse Flash and Jack Quaid as Barry Allen, I would not be mad at that at all.
No, that's a good casting choice.
The thing is, it would just be superbly on the nose given how they portrayed their characters in The Boys. But yeah, this whole quote about Batman just being a guy in a bad outfit with some fancy toys, chip on his shoulder about money. That's just such a. I wonder if this was taken out of context.
That's what I'm kind of wondering. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would he have a chip on his shoulder about money?
Yeah, and like, I'm glad you like Batman. I mean, everyone has that. Well, not everyone, because I know a few people who don't like Batman. But like, I just think it's such a very narrow way of looking at Batman, because there is so much more complexities to that character that I think a lot of people tend to just overlook, because they're just like, oh, he's the infallible character who was always prepared. You give him prep time, he can take out anyone. It's like, it's a little more deeper than that. Like there's a reason why he's one of the most fearsome and intelligent people in the DC universe, because you never underestimate Batman. That's the bottom line.
It's kind of the same. I don't see it too often, but I have seen it here and there on like social media and stuff. The people that are like, oh, he's just a rich guy who beats up mentally ill people. And I'm like, come on now. Let's use a little more common sense here. That's such a generalized, just basic view of it. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I've seen that here and there from various people on social media, and I'm just like, I don't. If that's how you want to interpret it, that's how you want to interpret it. But I just got to say, you're dead wrong.
Yeah, it's a very minimalized take on the character, and I don't jive with it. I don't agree with it. I'm not a fan of that, just at all. Like it's just no. Sorry, that's just not how I see the character. Honestly, like there's a lot more depth to Batman than a lot of people tend to think. They always just kind of brush him off as the guy in the bat suit doing, as you mentioned, just beating up mentally ill criminals he created by himself. It's like, there's a little more. There's a little more deep cut than that. He didn't necessarily create them; they were created by his existence. It's there's a difference, massive difference.
I mean, it's like that quote in the Cape Crusader towards the end of the trailer, where they were like, "You realize this is going to cause more and more to come out of into Gotham," and I think he says something like, "Probably, but at least now they know I'm out there."
Yep. Now they know I'm coming for them.
Yeah.
But speaking of that last line, and I think this is going to be the last thing we talk about tonight, it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with DC and James Gunn. There has been a rumor that has taken fire in regards to Batman in the last, 48 hours. And I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it here, because it's just been the subject of conversation among Batman and DC fans alike. Glenn Powell is the new DCU Batman. Maybe. Doubt it, but...
I mean, I didn't know about this until just before we went on here. I don't know, maybe just I had my kid this weekend, and that always leaves me kind of busy to be able to look into things. So I didn't know anything about this until you brought it up.
Yeah, so Eagle-eyed fans have noticed, I don't know how recent this is, but apparently Glenn Powell started following James Gunn, Rachel Brosnahan, Annie Muschietti, and I think one other person, like maybe Peter Safran or someone on Instagram. And people are now just jumping to the conclusion that because he's following Gunn and Muschietti specifically, he's Batman. And also coupled that in with his interview about him saying he has no desire to play any superhero except Batman. Because I think Glenn Powell said something to the effect of like he has like an idea for Batman that's akin to Michael Keaton's version of the character. And I'm like, you can take that a couple different ways.
You could just come up with your own interpretation.
Right. I will say, though, of the names that have been thrown around, like there's always names that get thrown around when it comes to casting Batman. Like Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the most prominent names always thrown around anytime there's a new Batman being cast. Most recently, like people want Jensen Ackles to play Batman. I don't know why. I think he's got a great voice for the character, but I don't really think he looks like Bruce Wayne Batman. Now I think he's a little too old personally. And then I think the other one is Alan Ritchson, who played Hawk in Titans, as well as Raphael in the TMNT movies that Michael Bay produced.
Oh,
It's also the new Jack Ryan or Jack Reacher. I don't remember which one it is, whichever one's on Amazon. But yeah, he's also there too. A lot of people just kind of associate his physique just with, oh, he looks like Batman. And I'm like, there is so much more to being Batman than the physique.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that, there is so much more to Batman than just being big enough to fit the suit. But when I had seen that Glenn Powell, I wouldn't necessarily say threw his name in the ring for it, but just said, yeah, I'd be interested in playing Batman. That was the one name of the names I've heard thus far where I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing him do it. And it's all based on one movie. The Hitman. Is it The Hitman's Killer? The Hitman? Whatever one he did with Richard Linklater?
I'm not familiar with that. I just know him as the guy. He's in the new Twisters movie that just came out.
Yeah, the movie's called Hitman. Okay. So essentially, this guy plays a basically he's an undercover. He assists in undercover sting operations, but the way he goes about catching people who would be hitmen is he changes his identity and look to accommodate their needs to play a fake hitman that they would in turn hire to kill whoever they're trying to get killed.
Oh.
So more or less the idea that I get from that is, wow, that sounds a lot like if Bruce Wayne was forging a Matches Malone type of cover. And at the same time, also, he's 6 foot. And obviously, if you're doing a DCU Batman, you kind of want him to be tall and, probably pretty filled out in terms of physique as well, which again, I'm not really saying that physique's the only thing that matters, but I do think that he could pull it off purely because of that movie and like the range in which he had to showcase so many different layers of so many different kinds of characters he had to make and come to bring to fruition. But ultimately, like, I think he does kind of have the chin for it. He's also only 35. But I think also by the time that you get Brave and the Bold even rolling, that movie doesn't even have a script yet, right? Like, it's only just got the director attached to it. By the time this film gets rolling, if he were to get the role, he would be older. And I could buy him being like a 35, 40-year-old Batman. It's a pretty easy conclusion to come to.
Yep.
Because, like, say Batman starts his career at age between 23 and 25, add 10 years to that, 10, 15 years to that. Maybe he's been through 1, 2, maybe 3 Robins by that point. And he's had a secret son he knew nothing about for over a decade. You could easily write that into that character. It's not hard. It's really not hard. But yeah, I of the names I've heard so far, his is the only one where I'm like, yeah, I could see him doing it. It's almost like how when the shortlist was revealed for Matt Reeves, the Batman, I saw names like Kit Harington and it ultimately coming down to like Nicholas Hoult and Robert Pattinson. When I heard that it was down between those two, I immediately was just like, yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
immediately I was just like, Robert Pattinson could get that role, and it would honestly work better for me. And he, sure enough, he landed the role, and I was like, okay, cool, now we're cooking.
And he nailed it.
He did. He absolutely nailed it, even though he didn't really play Bruce Wayne that much, but that was by design. So, yeah, I think for like a DCU Batman where things are a little more fantastical and a little more whimsical, and you've got someone who needs to be kind of stern and stoic as opposed to a little hitman assassin.
Yeah,
I think Glenn Powell could probably do it.
It's just interesting hearing you describe his role in that movie compared to what he is in Twisters, where he's apparently a storm chasing YouTuber.
Well, and even in Hangman,
so he definitely has a range.
Sorry, I didn't mean Hangman. In Top Gun Maverick, he's basically playing like a character akin to Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people really want him to be like Hal Jordan. They really want him to be like a Booster Gold. And I'm just like, it's funny. Like at this point, I'm just like, what does the actor want to do? Not what do I want the actor to do? It's more so like, what does the actor want to do? Like, who does he want to be? If he wants to be Batman and James Gunn floats him the idea of like, well, why don't you audition? And he gets the role, I won't complain.
Yeah.
Now, if it's by design and it's any other one of the other names that have been thrown around, I might be a little bit disappointed because that just feels way too easy. But yeah, if he got it, I'd be fine with it. Wouldn't have a problem with it. Whether he gets it or not, I'm not, tripping one way or the other. But I would highly recommend checking out Hitman if you guys want to understand what I'm talking about.
It sounds intriguing. I honestly, was it a theatrical release? Was it
limited theatrical released on Netflix?
Okay, because I was gonna say I'd never even heard of it until tonight.
Yeah, it was a good one. It's a very solid movie, all things considered. But yeah, that I think is the last bit of Bat news I think we have to talk about tonight before I head off to San Diego. Was there anything else that you could think of before we sign off?
No, nothing off of the top of my head. And I mean, I try to look into other things, but I mean, really right now with Comic-Con on the horizon here, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about here soon. It's just kind of that waiting game to see what gets revealed and what gets announced.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that myself, considering Cape Crusaders are right around the corner. I'm kind of wondering how exactly we're going to tackle that.
Yeah.
Because, if all 10 episodes drop at once, do we want to try and do like a episode by episode review, or do we just want to do a whole season recap? Like I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there, but I'm sure we'll be happy to figure it out in the coming weeks. But
yeah, because I know for sure, like I said, if it premieres on Thursday, I get off work at 4. And I work from home now mostly. I work in the office 5 days out of the month. So, and I think that's a work from home day. I'm literally going to clock out, go over to my couch, load up Amazon, and just start watching it. Probably won't. I would say I want to try to push myself to watch all the 10 episodes, but I would have to work the next morning. Granted, Friday shifts are pretty easy. I only work 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. But I do want to get adequate amount of sleep in general. So, but then that frees me up so that like as soon as 10:30 hits, I can finish up whatever episodes I have remaining. Because I'm going to try to get it all done within a 48-hour span.
I guess it depends on how long are the episodes. Are they going to go for an older animated series feel where it's like a 22-minute thing, or are they going to do what Amazon normally does and have them all be an hour long?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That would be interesting if they were hour-long animated episodes.
Because I think Invincible, they do like 30, 40-minute episodes.
Invincible, I think, is like 30, 35, 40-ish minutes per episode.
So I wonder if it's the same deal for Cape Crusader. Because even My Adventures with Superman's like, traditional like 20, 25-minute run time for their episodes. So, we'll see. We'll see how long they are. Either way,
and that just had its season finale, didn't it? My Adventures with Superman.
I don't know, and I don't really care.
Oh. I thought you liked My Adventures with Superman.
Oh no! I thought I heard it. I don't know why I heard Invincible, but yes, My Adventures with Superman absolutely just had its finale. That happened last night. Today, as of this recording. they are also working on a third season for that. I think, matter of fact, it has Comic-Con presence as well. I'm not sure if I'll be able to catch that panel, but I would love to. But no, I'm not a fan of Invincible. I'm definitely a fan of My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah, I watched the entire first season. I haven't watched any of the second season episodes. I just had so much going on that I just told myself that I was like, you know what, I'll just wait till the season finale comes out, and then I'll just try to knock it all out within a week or so. So
it's good.
Now that the season finale's out, because it goes after the episode premieres, a day later it's on Max, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Not even a day. It's like 6 hours.
7 hours.
Okay. Like, so it premieres on Adult Swim at 12 a.m. Pacific time, and then it heads on Max next day. For me, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then for East Coast people, it'd be 9 a.m. For you, it'd be 8 a.m.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was actually the first thing I did this morning when I woke up. I watched My Adventures, the finale to My Adventures Superman. But yeah, I'm sure Craig and I are going to figure out how to tackle the Cape Crusader show, how we're going to review that for this show, and then this is probably
sure enough an episode all about what you experienced at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, might be a 2-part release there for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, and then we also have to get to our next DCE retrospective, which is Wonder Woman. We'll get to that at some point. Probably not the rest of this month. Maybe definitely in August.
Yep.
That's my guess. And then after that would be Justice League.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting conversation. But
people thought we were harsh on Suicide Squad. Wait till we get to that one.
Yeah, right. But I think that is a good spot to put a pin in it for this conversation. It was pretty fun live. We had a couple people hop in the chat. Greatly appreciate it. Craig, where can people find you on the interwebs if they wish to follow along with your meanderings?
For my nonsense, it's mainly Threads is probably where I'm most active. I'm trying to get a little more active on Instagram. But on both of those, it's Craigie Omega. So just like my screen name is on here on the live, it's CRAIGGY_OMEGA.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks again for joining me. And I know this is something we definitely talked about for a long time, but I'm glad we finally pulled the trigger on it. So this will probably likely be like a once a month thing.
Yeah.
No hard date on it, but yeah, we're going to try and maybe do one live episode a month, try and get the swing of that. But if anyone wants to follow me, it's just that tag right there, unfiltered UNPHILTEREDDD. Vero, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. You guys can also, again, follow this show at TEK_podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And again, you feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your listening preference is. We greatly appreciate it. It helps the show get noticed. And if you have any emails or questions or comments, now that we have a live format to do that in, feel free to drop it in the chat or even just drop us an email, eternalnightpod@gmail.com. Other than that, so we always like to say, stay safe, keep it classy in the cave, take care, have a great day or night.
Thank you.